Hold on, guys. Just making sure this is working. Should be good. All right. How you guys doing today? Busy week. More computer problems, but hopefully for this stream everything should be working in adequate order. I know it takes a second for everybody to catch up and see what's going on and to say hello. Let me know it is time to get started. We got a few things I want to hit on today. I don't know. I've been getting some weird comments. Not bad. Just ones that have been really making me think a lot more about what brands I want to support. You know what I mean? I feel like it is very overlooked. And I'm very guilty of this as well. And sometimes supporting brands that I don't necessarily agree with a lot of their stuff and how they do things and whether or not they care about the customer. So, I don't know. Kind of a long form thing at that point. I'm not so sure how deep we'll get into it here. It depends on you guys. Hello, Vanya. You ate too much? That's funny you say that. I don't think I've eaten today. Our little kid has decided today was going to be the day where she was going to be just insufferable to the point where we felt bad even taking her to school because we didn't want the other kids to suffer. Now, this is normal. If you have a toddler or you've been around little kids, some days are worse than others when it comes to that. And so she's in the other room with my wife right now. They're kind of just relaxing, but very, very stressful morning. I forgot to eat. All I have is this coffee. I went shopping too. I went and bought food, but I didn't eat any of it. Probably not the wisest decision. Hey, Robbo, Marcus, Flyron, and my friend Gavin. I've been practicing, Gavin. I'm going to harass you about that forever. Because that's coming soon. You're going to have to do your auditions somewhat soon here. We know that. Let's put that stuff away. We don't need any of this out. Just trying to consolidate. Can clean. As you can see, I've got a few more plants. Yeah. So it turns out with that YouTube money, it's not very much. I've shown you guys what it is. It's even less than that normally because that was during peak season. We went out yesterday and bought a whole bunch of air purifying plants because the air is it's not very good in this house. Old AC, even though we had it flushed out, it was kind of temporary, kind of already really started to build out. So we're gonna try and attack it in our own way, try and naturally get rid of some of those things, the allergens and the dust and all that stuff in the air. Never ends. It never ends. How was mini golfing? Good. We had 2 hole-in-ones, which is, I don't know. Considering that when you play with a toddler and you get 2 honest hole-in-ones, that's pretty impressive. This is a good course too. A lot of mini golf kind of sucks. It's like really generic. This one was awesome. Really high. You had to climb up a whole bunch of places, ladders, a lot of waterfalls. Florida's great, man. Florida's great. Hey, Rick, how's it going? Well, yeah. So, I'll start there. Where with the topic of this video. Gibson and Fender. So, I think it's important to start with Fender because a lot of people have watched the Squire video and some people really liked it. Not the comparison video, just a straight up Squire where I reviewed it and I harped on the bridge. And I harped on the bridge for damn good reason. And people are mad. People are really mad. There's a good amount of people that are starting to be vocal about this kind of stuff. And I mean, when does it get to the point where we really start exploring alternatives in the new space? Because obviously Fender made some of the greatest stuff. I still actively look for a lot of used Fender guitars because they're so good. But when does it get to the point where you don't want to keep supporting a company that doesn't care enough to get the customer like a quality product? And I mean, it goes without saying, we have to throw Gibson into that mix as well. Somebody else was, trying to say the same things about how bad the Gibson quality has been. And it's hard to deny. And as little problems as I've had with the Wildwood Les Paul, I mean, the knobs still fall off of it. Now it's 3 of the 4 knobs randomly just fall off of that guitar. It's a $3,000 guitar. That's a disgrace. That's an absolute disgrace. They don't care. I don't know. It's like, and there's no way to hold them accountable. And one thing that a lot of people don't realize here, there's this kind of twofold. And I'm going to spoil this a little bit because this is a question that I could make a full video on and probably do a half hour on the topic, but it was presented to me when I asked you guys to react to the post, or rather comment on the post about anything you'd like to ask me. And somebody's asking me about the ethics of China guitars. And this ties into that because even when you buy an American Fender or you're buying an American Gibson, some of that money is going into those factories, the Chinese ones. So you can sit in posture and have the intentions of, I'm going to be supporting American workers, and that's great. But at the end of the day here, the bottom line of where this money is going, they're going to take that money. That's not all going to that cause. Just because you buy a Gibson American branded product doesn't mean that only the Gibson American family or that factory are the ones that are going to be reaping the benefits of that. A lot of that's going to be reinvested into, imported products like the Epiphones, like the Chinese ones. So, and then on the flip side of that, if you hate Gibson America and you buy an Epiphone because you're like, I'm not giving Gibson any of this, I'm happy with my Epiphones, congratulations, you've just funded Gibson. Like, it's all the same thing. And obviously that goes for the same with Fender, whether you buy Mexican, Chinese, Indonesian, or American. It's all going back to the same thing. Fender Japan's a little bit different because they're under their own really unique contract here compared to the rest of the factories. But I think that might have to do with part of the reason why those are still so damn good and so damn consistent, is because they kind of work on their own a little bit more so than any other ones do. But I find the topic very interesting, and it's really gotten me to think. It's like, well, I don't need another Gibson anyways, but I'm very unlikely to want to buy another one, and especially new. And Fender, kind of the same thing. I'm not in the boat for it. I mean, I have a brand new Fender that was supposed to be here weeks ago that Max has, and Max has had for weeks. That will be delivered tomorrow, maybe, depending on UPS. But honestly, kind of the luster of it has gone away just because it's been such a hassle. So we'll see what I really think about it. Because now the honeymoon of like, oh, I'm so excited to get this guitar. Now I'm just like, when is it going to get here? Like, this is a little bit too much. Let me catch up. I wish that I could have some indoor purifying plants this time of year. They probably wouldn't survive due to our frozen weather. Snake plants will survive. You can put snake plants inside. You will be just fine with those. I had those in New York when I lived in New York for many years. They will do just fine. And they're very low maintenance. Great for purifying air. And as long as, you don't let the temperatures drop too much within your house itself, you keep it at a reasonable level, even like 65, 70, those things will live. They're very tough plants. I'm a Gibson fanboy, and they annoy me so much. I just can't order one online. I need to play it first. But you're right. And this was kind of the conversation I was having with somebody on the Wildwood video. They were saying, I've played a bunch of them. They're all great. I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, dude, I play so many guitars. And this isn't even like a tip of my own cap here. It's the reality of what I do. I play so many guitars from so many different brands, more so than the majority of people do. Especially somebody that is not like running a shop, because I don't really run a shop. I sell a few guitars here and there. I play enough of these to see that there are major problems. And the only times where I don't see major problems are from the really high-end shops, because I can trust them because they won't sell you garbage. Like Eddie's guitars, not going to sell you garbage. It's just not going to happen. Wildwood, same thing. That's why I bought the Wildwood guitar. But as we've shown and demonstrated and visually kind of went over on this channel before in the past, places like Sweetwater will sell clearly deficient guitars that should never even pass regular Gibson's quality control, but also pass Sweetwater's 55-point inspection, $5,500. They don't care. I mean, maybe that has something to do with them being brought up by a private equity firm, but at the end of the day here, If you have to rely on 1, 2, 3, call it even 10 shops within the United States to trust that the Gibson you're getting is going to be at least like 99% of the way there at the prices they're charging, that's unacceptable. And yes, they are great guitars. I love that Les Paul. But it's unacceptable that you have to jump through these hoops to get that. Because the average person, first of all, they're not going to know these shops exist. They know that Guitar Center exists. They know that Amazon exists. Maybe they know about Chicago Music Exchange. There's not many household names. I mean, you guys are the hardcore. We are a very small part of the guitar community here. So you have to take that into consideration as well. And really, we all want everybody, well, at least in my case, I want everybody to have a really good instrument. And I want people to be able to get what they pay for. And when we enable these companies who clearly don't care, they posture a lot, they use a lot of big words. And then some of the other actions outside of the production, things that they get into, Gibson specifically, God, it's really hard to root for them. It's really hard to root for them. So, all right, let me see here. Hey, Chris, how's it going? Thoughts on the Fender Player Series? Not the Plus, but the cheaper ones. The regular Player Series, I am not a fan of. I would rather get just a Mexican Standard. If that's my budget, that I absolutely would rather get an older Mexican Standard. Or ideally, I think some of the best Mexican guitars that you can get, the classic players, if you're looking for a Strat, the classic Player 60 Strat, they made those for a time, and you can still find them for the same or less than a new player is going to cost you. It's modern, just like a Player one is anyway, so it's more comparable. But the kicker is, those have Abbey wound pickups in it. Those pickups alone are worth the price of admission. They come in. I think that guitar only came in Sonic Blue and 3-tone Sunburst, but I see the Sonic Blue a fair amount. It's one of the only Mexican guitars that tempts me, because that was before a lot of things changed. And for the majority of that guitar's life cycle, it was a rosewood fingerboard and a bone nut, and then custom shop 69 pickups, some of which were Abbey Ybarra wound. Fantastic guitar. Would never purchase a player over that. Never. Crazy pills. Baja Telecasters, same thing, 50s and 60s, although the 51s, I've seen a few kind of really questionable as far as the QC on those, but the 60s ones I all saw, those were all really good, and I owned one of those for quite some time, so I can speak highly of those. I mean, Dave's Guitar Shop gets in, if you want something that's more vintage flavored, they get the classic series 50s and 60s ones. They price those at either $595 or $695 depending on the year. Again, real rosewood, real 7 1/4 radius. Better guitars. They're just better guitars. So for me with the Player Series, in order for me to want to consider, if I were going to be considering one of those, one thing I liked about those, I liked the satin neck on it, but not enough to justify the rest of the things, because you're still going to have to deal with mediocre at best electronics. And all those models that I just mentioned come with real Fender electronics, like quality Fender electronics that people would put into American guitars. And some American guitars did come with those. So for me, I'm just not a fan of it because of the value proposition. If they were half the price, maybe I would be. Okay. I recently learned that I can take the Amtrak Empire Builder train from St. Paul to La Croix. I'll probably take advantage. Yeah, go to Dave's. Go to Dave's, play a bunch of guitars. They got a bunch of guitars in the stock. Try them all. Try a bunch of different brands. Have a lot of fun. And all those guitars are set up well. They are not your average shop. They really know what they're doing, and they take pride in what they do. And that's why I love Dave's Guitar Shop. Most don't know the other shops exist. Yep. Good afternoon, James. I'm sitting here with a friend laptop. With your friend's laptop or a friend laptop? Are you friends with a laptop? James, I know you're a little loose in screws in the head here, but you shouldn't be friends with your laptop. So sick of planned lessons and corporate greed, support handmade and little shops. Yeah. Or if you're going to support, like, man, it sucks, and you guys, you're probably so sick of hearing me say this, especially those of you who have been around for a long time here. You're going to be really sick of hearing me say this. But the only two major companies that I trust to buy a new guitar from, sight unseen, Fender Japan, Paul Reed Smith. That's it. That's it. Yeah, you have your small builders here and there, and some of them make excellent guitars. But I haven't played enough of them in their new form to be able to make a blanket assessment like that. Like the Rittenhouse guitars, I played 4 of them. They're all pretty good. They're all pretty good. They're harder to come by, and if you and on Reverb they're like $2,000. Whereas if you go somewhere local like Wolf's Guitars in Jupiter, you can walk away with one of those for like $1,200-$1,300, like cash. You're good to go. Same guitars that sell for $2,000. So there's a lot more wiggle room with those depending on where you shop. Those are good guitars. Yeah, but then you have some other brands, some that make resonator guitars. I'm not going to mention this brand by name, but anybody who goes to Gear Page, you will see they charge like $5,000, $4,000 to $5,000 a guitar, and the quality of work is garbage. It's garbage. We're talking pieces of the binding look like they were chipped out with a chisel. Horrible paint, just atrocious. So the part of you that wants to support the small businesses like that, and that's a good thing, you also have to bear in mind that just because somebody is building something by hand doesn't mean you're getting a quality product. And that's sad, but that's also reality. Okay. Hey guys, I'm currently looking for a nice Tele, $350. $350 for a Telecaster. I'd build it. That's what I would do. I'd either build it or I'd buy a used Classic Vibe and maybe a set of these bootstrap pickups, which have arrived. I have them on the desk over here. Those will get installed next week. And I think what we're going to do for that video is a lot of people were asking about soldering and more like a close-up in-depth. So I think what I'm going to do, because, and this is one of the only times I'm going to be able to do this. This is why I'm thinking about doing this. I'm thinking about filming me teaching my wife how to solder pickups. And the reason is because the pickups, first of all, are not that expensive. Second of all, it's going on a Harley Benton. So if anything goes super wrong here, it's not going to break my heart and it's not going to cost me a lot of money. But I think she could manage. She's had no experience doing this. We're going to test it out on some dead electronics, some dead pots I have lying around. I'm going to show her how it works, show you guys. And then at the end, we're going to see if I can teach a complete amateur and a novice on their first try to make a solid connection. I think it'll be interesting, and I think it's a fun way to get her involved in the channel. Because if she can do it first try, without ever doing it before, there's no excuse for anybody else not to be able to do it on their own at home and bring it into a shop, unless you start getting into some crazy wiring schematics. But a basic job like a Telecaster or a braided Gibson humbucking pickup style, easy stuff. Easy stuff. Let me know what you think about that. I have also been looking for a G&L. Yeah, the G&Ls are cool too, man. The G&Ls are cool. You know what's another really good brand? If you only have $350, the Tajimas. The Tajimas you can get. I think they make a T style. I know they make Strat styles, but those are really reasonably priced. Again, another guitar I would have never tried, but I played them at Wolf's Guitars and they were surprisingly good for a low amount of money. So that's not something I would rule out at all. Can't type for shit on a tablet. I can't type for shit, period. Also been looking for legacy strats. Yep. Is it easy to learn how to solder? Well, that's what we're going to learn. It is easy. If you prepare and you use the right tools, soldering is nothing to be intimidated by or scared of. Just make sure you do it in a well-ventilated area. I actually have a lot of confidence. My wife's going to be able to do this. She's gonna get this done. Might not be, the best as far as visually, but it's gonna work. So that's how we're gonna be installing the bootstrap Telecaster pickups sometime next week. I have family coming to visit, so we'll have more time to not only make stuff together for YouTube, but to spend time together and also to practice, because it is really approaching the gigging season, and we don't get to practice much. And days like today, we were supposed to practice before the stream, but the kiddo decided she wanted to make everything all about her and threw an ungodly fit so bad that we were like, we can't drop her off at school because she's going to ruin everybody else's day and the teacher's going to hate us. We have that kid sometimes. So she's home. So we didn't get to practice today. So we have to take advantage when we do have time. Jim, I got my green Fender Universe 2 Thin Skin Highway 1 Strat. You bought that guitar. $795? That what you paid for it? Or did you negotiate? Because I know exactly what you're talking about. It's got the transparent finish on it. I saw that and I debated buying it, but I just simply don't have the need for it. And obviously that wasn't a guitar that... It's the Corey Wong model. Basically, before the signature model. It's the one that he actually plays. The Highway ones with the nitro finish and a really, really, really nice necks on those. Good guitar. Really good guitar. I thought about it. That's good to know that somebody else that I know purchased that guitar. Nice job. Okay. Super easy if your soldering iron can retain heat. Yes. Yes. That is one of the things we're going to go over here. Oh, 700, you stole it. Good job, David. When you are starting to do electrical work, do not buy a cheap iron. You don't need to spend $200 on a soldering station, but do not buy one of those cheap $10, $20, $25 soldering irons. No, don't do that. That's one of the most important things that you can buy with it. You spend $50, you spend it once, and that's even on the cheap end of it. You're good. You're good. You're going to have something that you can control the temperature of, that has a good placement for it, that's reliable, that's not going to burn out, that easily has replaceable tips that are going to work on it. It's worth it. But yeah, you get the right tool. It's just like anything else. If you have the right tools, your life is nothing but easier. If you cheap out, especially when it comes to working on electronics, anybody who does any sort of thing, it doesn't need to be just guitars. People that do board repair, stuff like that, you use inferior tools, you're gonna have more failures. You're not gonna have solid joints and connections. It's just don't do it. Just don't do it. Do it right the first time. Invest in it, and it's also something that you can turn into income. Because if you can become good at doing that, especially you, Gavin, because if you're going to college, kids don't know. I say kids, Jesus Christ. I mean, you're all half my age at that point, so I can't call you kids. They don't really know, for the most part, how to do anything on their own anymore. And you're going to find a lot of musicians. So if you know how to solder, and you invest a little bit in some proper 60-40 resin solder, and actually have a decent fan to kind of ventilate it out, because you could even do this, you could do it in a dorm room. Yeah, maybe. And you have the skills and the ability to do it correctly, you can fix other people's guitars. You do it for a fraction, you do it on campus. Dude. A few extra bucks in your pocket. Never say no to that. Tajimas are made in Brazil by a Japanese expat. I've heard nothing bad about them. Yes, the Tajimas are good. I was very surprised. And I think the only reason I never checked out that brand before, it's because, I don't know. Normally when we do like the cheaper kind of Fender style instruments, they tend to do Harley Bentons, because we've been over this. They do, for whatever godforsaken reason, I could make a video just like, can I play my Harley Benton Telecaster with a Coca-Cola bottle? Like something really stupid like that. And that video will get clicked on like crazy. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's Harley Benton, it gets clicked on a lot. And sometimes it's important to do videos like that. But the Tajimas are kind of take up a similar space in that sense. And they're a little bit more money. So for me, it's always like, well, might as well just do that. But kind of gets boring reviewing the same kind of guitars over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. I wish Harley Benton would be a little bit more adventurous with their designs. Just found out that somebody I know bought an Acoustasonic. Do I win a prize? You win a prize of knowing somebody that has no taste. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So I guess the question I'd like to ask you guys here. What are some brands that you feel like are like your go-to brands where you feel like you're supporting a company that there's no other way of saying this. I'm not going to mince words. That gives a shit about you. That gives a shit about the customer. That has pride in their products. That if there is a problem, because nobody is devoid of having problems all the time Everybody. It happens to everybody, even Paul Reed Smith. I mean, how do they rectify it? The people that go about it the right way. Who are some of your favorite companies for things like that? Doesn't need to be just guitars. It could be amps, pedals, stuff like that. Pedals less so, because there's a lot. Very rarely are pedals going to fail new. But, these are things I'm very interested in. So here's what the poll is going to be. Who do you trust the most with a new guitar? Okay, so any of you guys vote for option A, I'm going to have to question your experience or sanity. What? I can only have 3 options? All right, I'll add other. Okay. That's stupid. That's really annoying. Okay. Well, I said that if my meteorology career fails, which I don't intend to, that I could make a career out of welding. If you know how to weld, why the hell are you scared of working on guitar electronics? Gavin, you perplex me. You perplex me, man. My God. What are you scared of? If you could weld, you got nothing to worry about with guitar pickups. You got nothing to worry about with guitar pickups if you know how to weld. You're a funny guy. You're a funny kid. We are sticking to electric guitars for the poll, but Taylor is another brand I really like. They do things the right way. I like them better than Martin by quite some margin. If I was an acoustic guitar guy, I'd have a bunch of Taylors. I look at Taylors the way I look at like PRS and Fender Japan. I've been to that factory. I live 15 minutes away from it. It's really, really nice. The drive out there is really cool too, because it's on the eastern side of San Diego. So you're driving and it looks like you're driving into the desert a little bit, because you kind of are in the mountains. And then you go into the middle of nowhere. You go down a big hill, turn right. It's a bunch of factories, and Taylor is one of those factories right down there. Really, really cool place. Really, really cool people. They are super knowledgeable and super cool about people who aren't knowledgeable, really working them through where to start, what to look for in acoustic guitar. They're top notch. Taylor is fantastic. I miss my old 214. I don't play enough acoustic for it to be something that I'm rushing out to be buying. I barely play the Dove. I track with it. That's it. I can't leave it lying around. I already had an acoustic guitar get knocked off a stand and have the neck broken once. It is not happening to that Gibson. So, it is what it is. But, all right, let me see. Load that back up. Load that bad boy back up. All right. So, Paul Reed Smith. Yeah, Paul Reed Smith get a bad rap. I had some guy. What was it? I did the Audiomo live stream, or the podcast. I did the podcast with Dave. And we were both talking about how, yeah, you can trust PRS as far as the quality control goes. This guy, you could find his thread. Oh man, on that video. He was determined to convince me that Paul Reed Smith were garbage YouTuber kid guitars and trash and not worth like even $600 for a cord. And I mean, I'm telling the guy, I'm like, look, man, you're not unlike a lot of people. Like, I didn't say this part, but in my head, I'm like, you're not unlike a lot of people. I know a lot of people like this, that they hate PRS. And this is something that I noticed with a lot of older players. They really don't like PRS. Like, I don't know what it is about them, but they rub people the wrong way. But I told him, I'm like, look, guy, you don't have to guitar. You don't have to even like them. But I mean, sitting here and arguing with somebody, like trying to convince them like your opinion is right and have no basis for it. Like it's crazy to me. But then on the other end of the spectrum, you have the PRS fanboys that some of them are just, they're insufferable just as bad on the other spectrum. So, man, It's unfortunate because, in my opinion, the way I look at Paul Reed Smith guitars is they just make great stuff. And isn't that supposed to be the goal here? Isn't the goal here supposed to be that you can trust a company to know that you're going to get a high quality product that's made with pride, especially the American ones? Like, and not that the SEs are bad or anything, but you look at the price points of some of the American ones, you can still get really good deals. Some of them are very expensive, which we're going to talk about this weekend. But, I mean, man, you know what you're getting. You're not rolling the dice. You're not looking for Wildwood or Eddie's specifically to be able to buy a PRS. I'd buy a PRS from Guitar Center. I don't care. I know it's still going to be good. Not like Gibson. It's not like Fender. Interesting reputation. Let me see here. Made in Japan, Ibanez. Yes, Ibanez in general is really good. Ibanez in general is very good guitars. Just haven't found one with the neck that I love yet. Just haven't found one with the right neck. Pierce has great employees. I love dealing with them. Some others are horrible. That's another thing. Blake, you know him. He's always in the Discord. You've seen some of the stuff where he's just calling Gibson. They hang up on him, the customer service. They give him attitude. And this ain't just him. This isn't just, wives' tales. I've not had great experience dealing with Gibson's customer support. I haven't had to call them much, but over the years, I've called them a few times. Not good experiences. Not friendly people. Not excited about it. And that's one thing I absolutely give Fender, if we're talking about those two, way more credit for. You call Fender, they're super cool for the most part. They're chill. They just seem like normal people who don't hate their lives. Whereas when I call Gibson, I feel like I get a guy that every time that I call is having a bad day. Maybe they just don't have good days. I don't know. I find it very interesting. This reminds me of the people that say Duesenberg guitars are terrible. Not for everyone, but such high quality guitars. Yeah, the Duesenbergs, the Star Players are freaking cool, man. They're freaking cool guitars. It's a really good Gretsch alternative as well. They're really, really unique. They got a cool feel to them, but you're right. They also fall into that category. I feel like people that buy those guitars and PRS guitars and some other brands, maybe they get marked as like snobby for some reason. I don't know why. But they just make good stuff. I don't know. Speaking of, oh God. I have not seen Philip Knight update anything. Oh, it's Jason. Hold on. I haven't seen Jason in a long time. Not popular, but my January American Pro Strat is just the best Strat I've ever had. PRS quality is just consistent, and it's hard to argue with that. Yeah, when Fender get it right, Fender really get it right. We've discussed it. Jason has been around this channel for a long time. He knows. He knows how I feel about all these. When Fender especially, when they get it right, man, you don't sell that guitar. The problem is you're gambling nowadays. You're gambling. You don't know what you're getting. And now that the pros are like almost $2,000 after tax, the professional twos, it's wild. All right, Pierce reminds me of Apple, especially if Steve Jobs was alive. Feels like a cult sometimes. Can't comment on the guitars, having tried them. I mean, I can kind of see that, but Paul isn't nearly the narcissistic asshole that Steve Jobs was. And he didn't just chuck so many different other people under the bus and have all the terrible person. Steve Jobs was not a good person. That guy was a piece of shit. I know it's not well to speak ill of the dead, but that guy was not a great guy. He's not a great guy at all. Not a great father either. And that kind of rubs me the wrong way. But I don't know. And also, Apple's popularity is way more akin to Fender or Gibson than PRS, in my book. Did you see the update on the Philip Knight? He gave the RO more guitars, got nothing from Gibson. He had Sweetwater, would get something from Gibson for sure. Apparently it wasn't a scratch, but a miss? What? Let me reread that. More guitars got nothing from Gibson. Sweetwater would get something from Gibson. Apparently it wasn't a scratch, but a miss. A misprinted bit, maybe over a wax sticker mark. That's really strange. That's really weird. But it doesn't surprise me that Gibson don't care about more guitars. That doesn't surprise me, not in the slightest. That whole thing sucks. I mean, he definitely did miss it. He definitely missed it. He's full, and if you're saying that he didn't miss it, then I don't know what to tell you, because he posted the picture himself of the one that he had. So I don't know. That whole situation's weird. Speaking of the SEs, did you ever catch wind of somebody who had said the SEs are poverty guitars? I have not seen that. I have not seen anybody who said SEs are poverty guitars. Thankfully, I don't go on those circles of the internet. The gear page is as low as I get, and if I see a troll thread that has something named that bad, I ain't clicking it. Nothing good's coming of that. Okay. Have a great day. Take it easy, James. It's always good to see you. Okay. Where would you buy 77 guitars? Directly from Japan. Directly from Japan. Now, you have a few options with that. You can go to, you know who has a 77 guitar in stock right now? Used. Ishibashi has an Ex Robato custom, I believe, in like a similar, like a walnut stain. You could buy it from them. Cost you about $1,500. Other than that, there's a few shops in Kyoto that will sell them to you. I mean, you're gonna pay the import tax and the full value of it. It's gonna take it down. They don't come up often. I don't know where you're located, but if you're in the United States, they rarely come up for sale from private owners. Basically, the best way to do it is to eat the cost and buy it from Japan. You could even, if you look at some of the seller ratings of people on eBay, I know that a lot of people get scared of buying on eBay, but if you look at these people that have like tens and thousands of reviews and 100% scores, and all they do is sell guitars from Japan, they know what they're doing. They have it down to a formula at this point. You can trust them. And the worst thing that happens is it's all done through PayPal. You're not going to get screwed. There's nothing to worry about. That would be the second alternative, and probably the easiest one. Granted, you'll spend an extra $150 to $200 per guitar, depending on what model and range you're looking to spend on. But if you do it that way, you're fully protected, and it's just a little less of a hassle. You don't have to worry about potentially having to worry about translation issues with communications, because some of the shops, like Ishibashi, they'll speak English with you, but some shops do not whatsoever. They'll offer it to people in America, like they'll ship it to you if you can understand the kanji in order to fill a form out, which I've done this so many times I can do it. But for the average person, that's not reasonable, you know. So digimart.net, check it out, and look for places that have English in the descriptions. They will take care of you. And from Digimart directly, if it's listed as with a blue symbol, that means they'll ship worldwide. You're good to go. Same thing, pay through PayPal. You're protected. Nothing to be scared of. Okay. I love how the PRS looks, except when you get to the headstock. See, I like the headstock. And the reason I like the headstock on the PRS is because it was designed with function in mind. It wasn't designed with like holding any sort of legacy or anything like that. The PRS headstock was designed specifically for tuning stability. Like, that's it. I love it. It's great. Okay. Oh God, I got a lot to catch up on. More Guitars doesn't order nearly enough to receive buybacks. Exactly my point. Hey, brother. Long time no. Hey, Matt. That's who you go. Yeah, it's good that it is growing. You know, it was really weird. I went and I was looking because I just started a few months ago. It was for Dave's birthday. It was the first time I made a post as far as like, you know, the community tab, because once you hit 1,000 subscribers, you can start like making like posts and stuff like that. So I made a post for Happy Birthday, Dave. And like 3 months ago, I made a post. I was like, I'm so happy. Like we hit like 1,300 subscribers. And 3 months later, like we've almost doubled that. And it took forever to get to 1,300 subscribers. And then in that amount of time, it's like doubling. So it's cool that people have interest in this. And it's cool. I'm really happy and I'm really appreciative and humbled that people will click on any of this stuff. It's amazing to me. I love it. And it's all because of people like you. It really is. It's not cheese. It's the truth. What do I think of D'Angelico guitars? I wish they had ones that had thicker necks because I think the designs are awesome. We had the D'Angelico Bedford in. Awesome guitar. Really cool guitar. Paper thin neck, though. I think it was like 0.86 at the 12th fret. And for me, that's just too narrow. If you're somebody that likes skinny necks, then perfect. Great guitar. Awesome tones. Awesome build quality for the price. Especially like those cheaper ones were actually really good. I think that guitar was like $500. Great value. I would take one of those Indonesian made D'Angelicos over a player all day, every day of the week from Fender. Because first of all, I think it's more unique. Second of all, I know the quality control's better on it. Sad. Big Fender fanboy here, but it makes me sad. Very few do. He missed it. Yeah, Raph. It is what it is. I don't think I could ever buy a guitar without playing it. That's something that took me years to get over. But you know what shop changed that for me? Dave's Guitar Shop. The first guitar I ever bought, sight unseen and unplayed, was that one. That gold Jazzmaster. And I bought it from Dave's. 2012 or 2013. One of those. But I was scared. I was like, this is a lot of money to spend. I don't know about this. I'd like to be able to play it first. Nope. Didn't get to. But when it came in, that's when I really started to trust not only Dave's Guitar Shop, but the process itself. And it's different from ordering from Sweetwater. It's different from ordering from Guitar Center. It's different from Musician's Friend. It's different from all those things. You know what I mean? But, if you find a shop that does well, and luckily for me, Dave's, and you feel free to shop at Dave's, they will send you quality stuff. You don't have. I don't think twice about it. But I could see where where the hesitancy comes from for sure. All right, let me just. Duesenberg guitars are like Gretsch guitars. They have a little less jangle, probably all that finish and gloss that may roll the natural woody highs. That's true. I think they're really good competitors for Gretsch. I don't know why they don't go after them harder. Especially since the Gretches, they moved the budget ones moved from Korea to China. If I was Duesenberg, I'd be going right after that market, because the made in Japan stuff, that just keeps going up in price. It's really high quality and it's awesome. But if you look at where like Duesenbergs are kind of priced, they're like in between the two of them. And I feel like if they wanted to take a bigger share of that market and appeal to more players, offer something a little bit closer to, the import Gretches, the Chinese ones, or where the Korean ones used to be priced, I think that it wouldn't hurt their cause. And I think more people would be considering those, because I think the price turns people off too. And it's just like with I was talking to Blakey about this the other day. Korean guitars, like the high end D'Angelicos, those aren't made in America. Those are made in South Korea. Those new Vox guitars, the Bobcats that all the YouTubers, a lot of them who are supplied them, are raving about. Those are $1,700 made in South Korea with just no brand, house brand pickups. That's a tough ask. And Korea has built itself up a pretty decent kind of reputation with building guitars over the last 15 years. Especially. They've gotten a lot better over the last 15 years. But at that point, I personally, I can't do it yet, because I could get Japanese. I can get Japanese or good American. I can't do it. Have we all realized there are even less tubes available with the Russian mess? Yes. But you know who doesn't have to worry about this? You know why? About a year and a half ago, I had a thought to myself of, I just want to buy, because I know I'm never selling the Music Man amp, right? I'm like, I want to buy tubes so that if anything ever happens, I'll never have to worry about that amp not functioning, and I can always get it to work. And I purposely buy amps. When I choose amps, for the most part, I choose amps that'll have compatible or pin compatible applications for those, for the most part. And I order a few extra kind of the really popular ones, 6v6, 34, 84, stuff like that. So I'm stocked. I never have to worry about tubes ever again. And I mean, it was just one of those things where I'm like, I'm going to use them eventually. And if I don't, like, I could sell them. Like, if they become impossible to get and I don't have an amp that uses, KT88s, I'll just offload them. Might as well get them while they're cheap. So I spent a few $100 on those just to have them. But yeah, they're harder to get right now. Already answered that. Do you actually speak a bit of Japanese? Yes, a little bit. Yeah, you are just an enjoyable person and knowledgeable. Fun to watch your chats. Thank you, my friend. That means a lot. Means a lot. How's the wife doing? You guys all right? You guys good? Is that your girlfriend? I can't remember. I just know you always post you and your lady. I still think dollar for dollar, Ibanez is the best quality for the price, and I don't think I've ever played a shitty Ibanez. You might be right. But I also think it depends on the player and what the player wants. And this is going to be an interesting kind of thing here. Because we're talking about high quality. You know what brand we haven't mentioned? Is ESP. I'd put ESP above Ibanez, personally. I have played so many of those guitars. Like, their core, like, and this is the thing about, like, hype and stuff like that. Yeah. If you go to ESP now, you have the American customs. Those are the highest ones that you can get new in America, right? They're like $5,000. Same price as a core PRS. Okay? But the Japanese ones, the Japanese core ones, you can still find those used from Japan. If you're lucky, 1,600. You're paying a lot. It's a rare model, 25, used, mint condition. And you are going to be laughing at the build quality. It's ridiculous how well they build guitars. And that's just ESP. You take it a step further. If you want the best Les Paul that money can buy that's new, you don't go to the Murphy Lab. I'd argue you don't go to Collings. I'd argue you go to Navigator. They just get it right. They get it right. It's funny to say that. But the Ibanez's are great too. Nothing bad about that. Tatsuro Yamashita. Yeah, Tatsuro's pretty good. I've been listening to a lot of Japanese surf rock lately. I've been listening to a lot of Japanese surf rock, and I've been listening to a lot of Char. And if you're familiar with Japan at all, you have to know who Char is. Char is a legend player. Not a virtuoso, not that kind of guy. He's older now, but a really tasteful, great player. If you ever want to be just have enjoyment, type in Char Meets into your YouTube search bar. Click on any musician he jams with. The jams are so cool. It's so fun. It's so interesting because a lot of time he jams with people, and a lot of people that you guys would know, like Paul Gilbert, Marty Friedman, stuff like that. But it's like such an interesting mesh of styles where it brings out this like really, really cool vibe. And Char's independent stuff it's good music. The guy's a great player. He likes playing Fender Mustangs too. Anybody who plays a Fender Mustang is cool in my book. Okay, have you ever played an Eastman? Oh yeah, I love Eastmans. I had, until I played the Ex Robato, until I played the Ex Robato, I thought that the Eastman was the best non-Gibson import 335 style. Now I'd rather have the Ex Robato. Because the thing about the Eastman, when you compare it to an Epiphone, it's not close. Like, it is so much better. And those T386s, you still can, I know this only applies to people in America. I get a lot of crap for this when I say this kind of pricing. But it's true. If you're in America, they get flat priced at $799 used. Hard shell case, Ken Armstrong pickups, quality hardware, CTS pots, switchcraft jack. Why on earth would you buy an Epiphone? Why? Why would you do that at that point? Like, it is such an inferior product on so many levels. Quality of wood, the amount of wood, The finish, it's not caked in poly. Like, much better pickups. Hard shell case, get out of here. This is a no-brainer. But the Eastmans make really good stuff. The SB59s have gone up a bit in price, though. Those are guitars that you used to be able to find for $1,000, no problem. People kind of caught on to it. Now it's hard to get them for under $1,500. Matthew, I have an AS93. Yes, that's a guitar we have talked about quite a bit. The AS93. I'm still waiting for one. Waiting for the right one. We'll see. What about Fujigen? Hear a lot of good things about. They're really good. Fujigen are awesome. Fujigen are awesome. I love that factory. I've played guitars from the Fujigen factory since the 80s. As a matter of fact. They've always made good stuff. So their house brand is no different. But there's one model I'm waiting for. It's a thin line style instrument. I'm waiting for one to come up used at a good price in non-three-tone sunburst. And that'll probably be the first Fujigen guitar that I get in, because I'm not buying another regular Telecaster. I'm not buying another Strat. And I don't really want to buy a Les Paul right now. We have the vintage in. There's a freaking boat anchor, mind you. But we have it. So, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff we can try. And I'm really excited to try a lot more of these guitars. You're all going to be really surprised tomorrow. You're all going to be really surprised tomorrow. And I say that because I did tell you that this is basically going to be Guitar Month for the next, oh my God. I think it's going to be 6 weeks in a row. Every week we're going to demo a new guitar. Unbox it and demo it. I knew we said we were going to do the Gretsch first. But something came up. Marcus knows what it is. And maybe one or two other people know what it is. But opportunity knocks. You do not turn it away sometimes. So tomorrow will be a guitar that we were not planning on, and that happened to get here in 2 days. Meanwhile, the traditional the 60th anniversary Jaguar that was ordered in January, and other people have gotten theirs, and it makes me sad because if I had ordered that guitar from Dave's Guitar Shop, I would have had it weeks ago too, but I didn't. I tried to order it from a smaller shop that I also support, and there was just 5 communication errors. 5. That guitar did not ship until Tuesday night, and they had it since Friday. So I was pretty pissed off because I told them, look, I don't care. Don't open it. I don't care. Send it right to me. I don't need a setup. I'm going to replace the pickguard and the bridge. Nope. Doesn't get out till Tuesday, days later. So it's kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Epiphone is probably my favorite brand option. Gretsch Electromatics, but haven't been great for me. New Squire models are drawing me in. Yeah, I think the way to buy Epiphone, though, is just buy them used. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. But I think, and the reason I made the thing about the Eastman is because of the price. You know what I mean? When you buy an Inspired by Gibson 335 from Epiphone, that's $600, no gig bag, no case, mediocre electronics at best, and that's it. So you're already, to even get it onto an equal term as far as the equipment that comes along with it, and when far inferior hardware, you're paying for the name on the headstock at that point. The Eastman's a better guitar. But if you buy one of those used, for me, $350 to $400 is the sweet spot if it's in good condition. And sometimes, a lot of people will buy these guitars and they'll put Duncans in it because they hate the stock pickups, because the Chinese pickups, for the most part, that they put in those Epiphones are not great. So they'll put in Duncans, even if it's something like a JB and a Jazz. And they'll even might have a hard shell case. You buy that locally with cash, $350, $400, then you're talking. That's when I see the value in Epiphone. And that goes back to my earlier point about the Player Series. I'd say the same thing about that. If you get somebody locally who's selling a player tele, player strat, whatever it is, and, it comes with a few extra things that you're not going to get, because I don't even think those ship with gig bags anymore for $830. Because when I went to the Chicago Music Exchange, I was looking at their Jazz Masters because they had the limited edition. I think it's called Peach, Pacific Peach, and I was just curious to see the hue of the color. I think it was $850 with no gig bag, and then like $880 to get a gig bag with it. And I'm like, you guys are almost charging $1,000, not even shipping with a gig bag, Fender. It's a bad look. It's a really bad look. So when you can find these things used for a significant discount and they have those little things with them already, that's when the scores happen. It's better to hold out too. Unless you're in a serious rush for any instrument for an immediate need, like you have to have a second guitar, you are literally packing up the car or the van or going on the plane to go and play. Wait. You will live. You will live. It's worth waiting it out. Especially now because money really is, it's important. So, yeah, that's my soapbox on that. I got that Jag direct from Fender. I had it in a few days. Exactly, I know, and I'm really annoyed about it. Not annoyed at you. I'm annoyed at the process. Granted, the lumber is treated lumber, even more so. Yeah. Lumber prices aren't going down anytime soon. There's a lot of things that aren't going down anytime soon. Gas is going to get ridiculous, and energy is going to get ridiculous. There's no way around it. Don't need to get political to figure out what's going on here. It's very, very apparent, and they're not shy about who's gonna pay the price. As usual, the peasants like us, like you and I. We will pay the cost of everything. Ex Robato Les Paul. It's a 77 Ex Robato. It's a 335 style Japanese instrument. All my Epiphones are signature models, so they cost a little more, but a little bit of... See, but there you go. There you go. That's different. If you're going to do one of those guitars, you get the one that comes with the most stuff, and you buy it before the resellers on Reverb buy them all up, and then they're charging $600 more. I saw one of those Lazarus Joe Bonamassa guitars actually sell for $15.99. That's batshit crazy. That is just nonsensical to me. But at the end of the day, my opinion doesn't matter because somebody clicked the buy now button and actually bought it. They paid. So if you can get it at the retail price and you get the ones that have the Gibson pickups and a hard shell case and a decent other, hardware specs, I mean, yeah, you're ahead of the game. That's the way to do it. If you're going to buy Epiphone new, that's how I would do it. And then if you don't love it, you could be one of those people who resells it on Reverb and you put a few bucks in your pocket. Win-win. That's sad. That's sad to say that, but must be repeated here. Okay, let me see here. So we got 28 votes on who we trust the most. No, somebody voted for Gibson? You're a troll. 29% for Fender, 46% for PRS. Clear winner. Are you getting ready to be inundated with positive? What is Positive Grid doing? I know I should know this stuff because I don't know when this happened, like when it officially happened, but like I'm a guitar YouTuber. I have no idea what you're talking about. I had no idea that Line 6 had a new line of amps coming out. People are asking me about those, what I think, and I'm like, I don't know they exist. Like, I don't care. I only cover products I care about for the most part. And obviously the exceptions to those rules, if I can get something for such a good deal that I can either make money on it or at least keep the money and provide the content and my perspective on something I wouldn't normally buy. Oh, everything's going up. Yep. Everything's going up. Everything. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be real bad. But whatever. It looks like a small amp, a cube shape, a crappy amp. Yeah, I assume it's not gonna be very good. Have you ever seen me demo a modeling amp on this channel, you guys? Honest question. Because I did once, but it wasn't a demo for that amp. I made a video telling people to stop buying gear. And at the time I made that video, I think I had like 6 guitars for sale. And I still made a video like, stop it. And my logic was, use what you already have. I mic'd up that Fender Mustang with I think it's a 5-inch speaker on it, the one that runs on batteries, with SM57 and I already had drums that I had tracked in a studio and a bass line. I just recorded the guitar on it. It didn't sound amazing, but it just proves the point. Like, stop making excuses. The gear you have is most likely good enough for you to be able to record and write with. I don't know. I think it's important. I think it's important to actually work. I think it's important to actually practice. And I think it's important to take music seriously enough to have an understanding of theory and how it works. Those are my opinions. And you do see me with a lot of gear on this channel, but you also have to remember, I resell this stuff. And I resell it a lot. Even guitars I love. Guitars I love that I don't want to sell. I sell them because it is what it is. And then sometimes I'll get, really good deals on some things that I'll like so much that I'll end up keeping for, a little longer than others. Sometimes there's guitars I say I never want to sell them. And I end up selling them. Because that's life. And I don't have a payroll. And I don't have these people supplying me with stuff, so I got to do it this way. Let me see. I bought my son an Inspired by Gibson Les Paul. It's amazing, but I told him I wouldn't play it. See, that's a good way to do it, though. And that's a good way to get your son to take it seriously and for your wife to take you seriously when you say you're going to do something. If you buy that with the intention of giving it to your son, you say, look, I'm not going to touch it. And she says, yeah, right, whatever. You bought this for yourself. And then you don't actually do it. Then your son has a serious ownership feeling. Like, oh, this is my guitar. And with that ownership feeling comes a pride. Because I've seen this happen with other people that have kids and they've done that. And then, the parent plays the guitar a lot. And it's not really their guitar. They don't feel like it's theirs. So that you did it. You did good. Good job. My Epiphone Les Paul signature James Bay Century. I have not seen one of those in a while. Tommy Taylor is a very pretty color. I've seen that. The Cortex. Okay. Probably isn't going to have anything better than the V20 Spider. Yeah, I'm not. Guys, we're not going to talk about the positive grid. I don't know anything about it. I just bought a new looper and synth. I'm spending money like there's no tomorrow, just in case there isn't. Well, Robbo, we're about to wrap up this stream. But sometimes I do similar things. You'll see that tomorrow. And I say that, but again, we're gonna. I told you guys this earlier, but I'm gonna sell the custom shop Jaguar, and that breaks my heart because I really think it's probably the best Fender Jag I've ever played. But with the whole plan was to get the 60th anniversary, and still have a really nice guitar and a finish I prefer. And it's still gonna, unless this thing has serious shit wrong with it, this is gonna be a no-brainer here. Sell the custom shop, pocket the extra money. It's not gonna be that much worse. But if it is, believe me, you're gonna know. Because I'm gonna compare those two guitars exactly the same way. They're both gonna have the exact same bridges with the exact same mutes, the exact same strings, the exact same setup. Those two guitars are gonna go at it. They're gonna go at it for real. And I'm very interested to see what the top of Fender's production line can do against the Fender's custom shop. Because I have both of them. As far as I have custom shops and American vintage guitars, but I don't have the same model in both, if that makes sense. And I thought it would be weird to compare like the American vintage Jazzmaster to the custom shop Jag or the custom shop Mustang. Doesn't make sense. So now we're going to have the top of the line of the production from Fender versus a custom shop. That's twice the price. So that is why I haven't put that guitar up for sale yet. And that's another reason I'm pissed off it's taken me so long, because I've wanted to do it and move it on out. Moving on out so we could keep going, keep moving. Break on through to the other side, as they say. Thank you guys for watching today's stream. Tomorrow will be another guitar demo of a brand new guitar it's brand new to me and it's brand new to this line. It has never been offered until 2022 in a very, very interesting finish that is also new for the line. So I'm excited for it. It's from a brand we all know and we all love. And it may or may not have won today's poll today. It definitely did. So hope you're excited for that. check it out tomorrow. I'll try not to rave too much, and I'll try not to fanboy out a little bit, but it's a good one. It's already filmed. It's already done. Just got to post it tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Thanks for checking it out. I will see you guys for that. If not, have a good Friday. Have a good weekend. Love hanging out. Take it easy, guys.